Welcome back. If you watch Fox News, you have probably seen that Portland, Oregon is on fire and has been for the last year. If you watch MSNBC, that is not the case. There is nothing to see there. Don't worry about it. But folks, make no mistake, there is something to see there. And while it is not an inferno, it is a problem. And it's something that the rest of the country can probably learn from. Back in November of 2020, voters in Oregon approved a measure to make their state the very first in the country to decriminalize most street drugs. And I am not talking about weed. I'm talking about the hard stuff: meth, cocaine, heroin. It is called Measure 110, and the idea behind it was simple. Instead of so much money, taxpayer money, going to the arrests and the prosecutions and the jailing of all these people with small amounts of drugs, the money would instead go to treatment centers. Drug addiction would be treated as a health care issue instead of a law enforcement issue. On its face, that actually sounds like a pretty good plan. But a year and a half into this experiment, take a look at some of Portland, Oregon's, our affiliates' coverage of what's been happening in that city.
Overnight, Oregon became the first state in the country to decriminalize most street drugs. A Measure 110 also brings new support to addiction treatment and recovery.
Starting today on this February 1st, small amounts of illegal drugs will now be decriminalized in the state of Oregon. And this is because of Measure 110. If someone is caught with small amounts of drugs like heroin and cocaine, they will only get a ticket that comes with a $100 fine. Law enforcement can seize the drugs, but instead of arresting someone, they will now give someone, in this case, that ticket and the number to call a 24/7 hotline to call for a health assessment.
They tell me that the meth we're seeing on the streets these days is super pure, super potent, readily available, and cheap. And when you put all these factors together for a sustained amount of time, which we've been seeing it for that sustained amount of time, it creates increasing collateral damage to not only those addicted, but the community and their families. And that's exactly what we're noticing right now in the city. We're also noticing overdoses tick up and take over the place that of opiates, which has been a change over the last 5 years. There are other contributing factors, and these are for our people who are homeless, living on the street.
All I've seen is drug deals go down, orgies.
You see people camping and hanging out on the streets.
People using drugs, people having sex, people fighting.
We wound up calling the police.
You're frustrated.
Very.
And she's not alone. Look, nobody is suggesting that homelessness and crime in Portland are all brand new since Measure 110 took effect, but there is a healthy debate over whether that measure added fuel to a crime fire causing unexpected consequences. Joining us now, Sergeant Matt Ferguson. He's the leader of the Special Investigations in the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, and Morgan Godvin, who serves as a commissioner on Oregon's Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission. Welcome to both of you. Sergeant, I'm going to begin with you if I can. So what is your assessment of the streets of Portland in the year and a half since Measure 110 took effect?
Well, the team that I supervise works on trying to investigate those multinational and large regional criminal organizations that are trafficking drugs, and we are seeing more drugs in our community than we've ever seen before.
And what about the reports that I'm reading of these encampments and sort of like drug parties that are spilling out of a lot of these safe havens that have been put into neighborhoods where, you know, drug addicts can come and have a safe place to be, but they're spilling out into the neighborhoods who now no longer feel so safe?
Well, I think those are accurate reports in a lot of those places. And what we're seeing is we have a tremendous user base. We have a significant addiction, as you mentioned earlier, public health crisis with addiction. And the idea behind Measure 110, I think, was to have some treatment beds available, and those simply aren't available. So we've sort of encouraged in a way and legitimized drug use, and it's provided this opportunity for those multinational drug trafficking organizations to come in and flood our market with staggering amounts of drugs, and especially fentanyl right now.
So, Morgan, I want you to step into this conversation. You have a very unique perspective because of your very rich history. You serve on the Measure 110 Oversight and Accountability Council. You also personally found recovery, this despite incarceration. So I get the impression you still defend Measure 110, but is that harder and harder to do as so much of this crime starts spilling into these neighborhoods?
Well, Measure 110 only decriminalized very small user amounts of drugs, typically about 1 day's worth. So drug dealing and all other types of crime are very much still crimes. The fact that most crimes are not resulting in an arrest is a law enforcement issue that the police are facing in the city. Fentanyl is a national... I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, fentanyl is a national problem. About 2/3 of the 108,000 Americans that died in 2021 died from fentanyl use. So this is a national scourge. And Oregon's overdose rate is not elevated. The entire West Coast, we missed the first wave of the fentanyl crisis that devastated the Northeast because we had black tar heroin, which was a little bit harder to adulterate. But now we've seen this influx of fentanyl pills all over the West, not just Oregon. In fact, Alaska has had the highest year-over-year increase in drug overdose deaths. But West Virginia has much higher overdose rates than anywhere on the West. I do not want Oregon to become West Virginia. We must be willing to embrace the public health approach that the West Virginians were unable to do.
So I'll tell you what, Matt, Sergeant Ferguson, Morgan makes a good point, and I actually have some this is hard to say, statistics. I have statistics here that show other states are seeing huge spikes in drug use, sales, and overdoses as well. Take a look at this. This is fatal overdoses by state. Morgan mentioned West Virginia's #1. Look way down on the bottom. Oregon is 39th. So out of 50 states, it's doing, measurably better than most of the other states. So is it, how do you sort of accommodate for the fact that this law hasn't made Oregon a more deadly place for users?
Well, I'd say this year we're on par to double our overdoses from last year. And I don't know that anybody that's recently that's had a child that's died of a fentanyl overdose, I don't think telling them we're 39th is any consolation. I don't think that that's an appropriate response to that. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we haven't seemed to be able to get a hold of this. And that's going to be our biggest push, I think, within these coming years, is to address those things. And we certainly don't look at users. When we do drug investigations, we look at those large-scale organizations that are selling commercial quantities of drugs. But we have such a large user base that it's kind of just supply and demand, and the demand is huge. And as long as that demand is there, that supply is going to be here.
So Morgan, jump in here. I have a minute left, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this. In a 1-year period after Measure 110, drug offenses, naturally, as expected, dropped from 880 to 364, clearly because the law said, let's not criminalize people with small supplies. But at the same time, so many people in Portland, Oregon are upset with the crime that has moved into their neighborhoods because of these safe spaces that are being set up for the users. And that can't be a positive, a positive result from this measure. Do you agree with that?
There are no safe consumption spaces in Portland. I support them because the evidence supports them. So just to clarify, drug decriminalization is broadly supported by scientific consensus, including the director of NIDA, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. There's broad support for this. And I agree with Sergeant Ferguson. This is an urgent matter. We must address it now before we become first in the nation. We have spent $1 trillion on the war on drugs to end up in the worst overdose crisis in human history. And Sergeant Ferguson is saying we just need to do the drug war a little harder, a little more, tweak it. I'm saying no, we need to do something differently because the goal is to save lives. And if we want to save lives, we know exactly how to do that. But are we willing to do those measures? I am, and we are doing them here in Oregon. We are investing $270 million in the next two months in drug treatment services.
I see
that
Sergeant Ferguson wants to respond to that. Go ahead, Sergeant Ferguson.
I think our safe communities start with a safe community, and we don't have that right now. We don't have places that are, having safe streets and safe parks and being able to go out in your front yard and enjoy our community is not an option right now that we have here, unfortunately. And a lot of that is focused around the crime that comes with that drug use. What we are seeing is a massive influx in shootings and other types of crime related to drug use, and that is simply unacceptable in our community. It's not a matter of going after users, it's a matter of looking at the larger crime picture.
So I have to leave it there, but I'm so thankful to both of you for...
These are national issues.
I'm thankful to both of you for your perspective on this, and I'd love to continue this conversation because I think everybody wants to know if this experiment could work for them. Sergeant Matt Ferguson, Morgan Godvin, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.